Hello everyone, welcome back to the Self-Pass Detox, and today is a very, very special day. You know, our guests for today, three amazing women, and we are talking about hockey, so everything is special today. And I think that it's an interesting topic that Bernardo, that Self-Pass wanted to have today, because nowadays women's and sports are each day more important. So we don't have anyone better to talk about this other than the president of AHF, also Marsha, also Gigi, very important and outspoken people that will bring obviously nice topics for us today. So first of all, Marsha, hello Marsha, thank you for having us. Sorry, here in this conversation. Also, Gigi, good afternoon. And Marijke, good afternoon to everyone. I'm having some difficulties here with my voice. I'm sorry. But we are here, more important, to speak about women's in sports. And we have more or less an idea about what difficulties women have in several sports, but what we want to know, it's always to be a woman and in hockey, in field hockey. So we can start with the president of the European Hockey Federation that had a nice career going up until being a president. Probably not easy. We'll go there in the future. But how do you think that is to be a woman in field hockey?
Thank you, Thiago, for introducing me. How easy is it to be a woman in hockey? No, not that easy. Everybody thinks always it's more easy than, say, in football. Maybe that's the case. But still, also in hockey, it's male-dominated. And it's always the art to act as a woman, as yourself, and not try to copy the man. I've, of course, a lot of experience now, so I'm educated by all kinds of things around me, also by the other women and also by the players, both ladies there on the screen. It's good to listen to them, what is for them important, and to take that with you to the boardroom. And I think one of the things women have to do as a coach, as a player, as a board member, committee member, is being extremely well prepared, that they can act every moment they need to act, and not doubting if they can speak, if they are self-confident enough. They have just to do it because they can, as nobody else.
Marijke, speaking as the president of the AHF, now with my voice I can speak about our guests. Marsha, obviously, I think that everyone knows, from South African Olympic player, also with a big career, interesting career. Gigi Oliva from Spain, also Olympic player, so major guests here today. We can go to Marsha. Marsha, what's your experience as a woman in hockey?
Well, to be honest, it's exactly as Marijke said. You know, it's definitely worldwide. You can generally say that he is still, although, which is a little bit ironic because in a lot of countries it's known as a Cinderella sport for guys. So from a men's perspective, perhaps the men who play hockey in certain countries, they also take criticism because they're not playing football or rugby or cricket. But when you're in the sport, you actually have a different perspective, and you actually see that it is male dominated. From things like administrative levels, you still see male domination in the boardroom, and all the way down to the way the players and the teams are differentiated, where there's probably a lot more focus on men's teams than there are on women's teams. And we've come a long way. I do believe that. I think that as the world has focused more on women empowerment and women in sports in particular, I think that you do see the changes within hockey. And Marijke, you can speak about it with the EHF, where you guys have gone and spent a lot of time on a campaign and pushing more for the gender equality within the game. But we need to see that more in more continents, and then not only just continental, but actually see that in every single country where you're having more input from women, because the numbers will show that there are huge numbers of women playing, and it's a bit unfair if men are making all the decisions what should happen with the game of hockey for women. So yeah, I think as a player, you do sometimes feel that result of men making the decisions on our behalf. But I think that over the years, over the last 20 years, you've definitely seen a change as you see more women in the boardroom. But as Marijke says, we have to be a little bit more prepared. I think we also need to have more mentors who can teach us the ropes, and Marijke, with all her experience, can teach the next person who comes into the boardroom how to exactly do that. How exactly should you prepare and feel the confidence to speak up and fairly represent women, but not only women, because that's also one of the criticisms that I think we face, is that it's always about us versus them. But actually it's not. It's just about us having a voice and having people actually identify that we are different. And yeah, I do see a change. You see a change from things like years ago. If you look back, not so long ago, even just to like the Sydney Olympics, you'd see a lot of the women's teams still playing in men's shirts, for example. And just the kit that we wear these days is a lot more feminine. So you definitely do see a change in the influence that women have on the game. But I still think that we can do a lot more.
Gigi, your opinion? You go along with Marsha and Marijke?
Well, I'm totally agree with all the things that they have said, and in my experience, I've been in the national team, in the Spanish national team, for 15 years, and as Marsha said, I've experienced a really big change. I think it's not enough, because if we see the three factors of sponsorship, salary pay, and social media coverage, I think we have a long way to work. But I think we have changed a lot of things as well. When I started, for example, in my staff, we always had men coaching us. We didn't have any women. And now, for example, everything is changing, because we have half and half, or we have just people that are good at it. And a lot of women, they are there. We have four, and all our technical staff, for example, they are women. And it's something that is changing. But I think we will have, I think maybe in 10 or 20 years, we're not gonna talk about gender equity in hockey, or I feel, or I would like not to talk about it, because it's gonna be normal if you are a girl or if you are a boy coaching or playing or training or whatever you do. And I have to say as well that the environment and the culture, I can just speak in Spain, but the culture that we have, the environment that our staff is creating as well is different, because now all the girls, we can give an opinion. And maybe 15 years ago it was really difficult, because we're always, after like the staff was taking a decision, and always we had to wait. And now everyone can share, can decide, you can give an opinion, and you can change. And I think social media helps all the women in all the world and all the sports with it.
Gigi, can I ask you a question? Because your brother plays for the Spanish men's, and then you in the women's team, but then can you definitely still see a big difference in the way the two of you, because you're from one family, just the way your programs are treated, down to the way you individually are treated when you talk about sponsors? So it's not just about, we talk about like women in hockey and the team sports, and we talk about then the team sponsorship, but also men generally get more individual sponsors, if we honest. So yeah, how does it, you've got firsthand experience of a direct relationship where you can sort of compare men versus women. Is there?
Yeah, I think in the beginning we had a lot of difference, because he was playing and he was winning everything. Like he got a lot of medals, like in the Olympics in Beijing. He was winning a lot of titles in the Spanish league. He was really a recognized player in Spain. And of course, I was doing the same effort. Like I was training same hours. I was training. I was traveling same hours. I had to do my studies combining with hockey, but I didn't get results. And always, I think the answer from other people, and even from him, and even from people from the club, it was, oh yeah, but maybe you get less, but you don't get results. And everything was like with a result. It's like when you have maybe two kids, one is having a 10 over above 10, and the other one is having 5 above 5, but they're making the same effort, but you just give a prize or a present to the kid who is winning, or to the kid who is having a 10 above 10. But I think during years, it has changed. Even the mentality of men has changed a lot, and even the mentality of women have changed as well. Because it's not normal. You cannot say in a club, okay, because men are winning, then they get more. Because I think one of the problems that we had in when we were younger is the quantity of players that we get, that we have in Spain. They have 60% more. Of course, they're going to have more quality. Of course, they have more probability to win because they have better players. But I think since 5 years ago, things have changed, and they are understanding what we are asking, because we don't ask to get the same as everyone. We are asking to get the opportunity, and it's not about just a sponsorship or same I don't know, maybe same salary pay, but we want human resources. We want people who can make a project and who can lead a team and coach the girls as they have been coached during all their lives. And I think now it's different, but still a long way to work.
Yeah. So maybe I can help you a little bit how to approach it, because there's a lot wrong with the awareness under people. And Jaco, you are talking about your wife, and Gigi talking about her brother, and that helps. It helps if you have somebody nearby who is doing the job, and then you understand that they also deserve a certain place. And what my job is in EHF is making clear to everybody that it's a logic thing, that men and women are the same. In a sport where on the field of play, everything is equal. And if you then look around and you see the coaches, mentioned also by them, in the top in Holland, 92% is men, 8 is women. In the grassroots, it's 37 women and the rest is men. In the board, now I don't tell you all the numbers, but the numbers speak for themselves. So it's just the approach, and I have learned the approach actually from Thomas Bach from IOC, that it's just not logic to make a difference between men and women. You are wasting 50% of the capacity of the world. And if you approach it in that way, then is it not a frustration, then it's just a strategy. We have to do it ourselves. And I'm asking Marsha and also Gigi, stand up, do it. And I know you both are doing it already. Gigi and myself talked last year in Antwerp, as you remember, when you were playing very well. You were the player of the tournament, I think. Spain did very well. My job is indeed exactly as Marsha says, looking to the next. It's not about me. It's just giving opportunities to people around me. And to what's the, I don't know the word in English, to make easy the way for the others. But still, every time again, they have to work on it. And they have to be self-confident. Also at a moment they think, I don't know. Women always think, I don't know if I can. Of course you can, always. You can make a difference. And that self-confidence you need to start with. And if you're talking to your brother or to your wife, so just support them. That's what women need. Men around them who also understand how important it is to do the job together, and not men against women or the other way around. It's together. And then really, I think we get better decisions, have more happy players, then we have all the same balls, batons, what bidons, what you need. And it's not a question anymore. It must be normal that it's all the same.
Obviously, we are talking about women in hockey, and we had some great campaigns like Equally Amazing from the AHF, and the vehicle that normally is used nowadays is the social media, also for individual players, women and men, using the social media to get known and to get some more exposure. Do you think that all of these things are important for this equality to really exist? Having social media, for instance, for a
Of
player
course.
or a team?
Yeah, because by social media, women and girls can act, they can tell what's their opinion, they can tell what they like, what's important for them. And of course, if you are open for it also as a man, then you will behave yourself that way. And it's extremely important that girls and women support each other instead of maybe are difficult to each other. You have to do it together. If in Holland the situation is very well, actually I don't think so. I think the difference is that in Holland they think it's quite well. And I have to make people aware always in a friendly way. Yeah? Hey guys, just see the numbers, and then you see that's different, and that you have to work on it. And it's the same as you have to work to people with different religion or different capacity. You have to open your eyes and you have to work on it. And it gives so much joy if you see that's working. And that's why I am extremely grateful to the staff of EHF working on the equally amazing strategy, because the energy and the happiness and yeah, the boldness, it's really inspiring.
Also, I think the social media is really important because it gives the current generation the opportunity to be heroes and ambassadors for the sport, and just an example for the next generation to look up to. Gigi, I don't know about you, but for my first caps, you know a few of the international players by what you've seen growing up just before you make the national team. And then your first national trip, you start learning who the top hockey players are in the world, because we didn't have social media 15 years ago. And then, yeah, of course, you have Amar, and everybody looked up to Amar, and you have Natasha Keller, and you have like really big names that we will recognize. But for the rest, we only saw them when we saw them at the major tournaments. So we couldn't always identify with some of our peers for example, who were training just as hard. Like Gigi and I would only see each other at every international tournament. So, other than playing against each other and having a bit of a battle on the field in the midfield, we didn't know anything about how hard Gigi was working, and she didn't know how hard I was working or what I had to do next to hockey. And likewise for the next generation, they had no clue what we were doing in order to be there. So I think social media also plays a really important part for girls to have women role models when they think about where they want to be one day in sport. So yeah, that's what I think social media is really important.
Yeah, I think social media is helping a lot, as you said, a role model. But sometimes, especially with my friends and especially hockey players, we ask ourselves why they do it. Like why, for example, people is getting a sponsorship, and sometimes we say, yeah, some people they have a lot of followers, or they are, I don't know, they can attract a lot of people. But sometimes we say maybe because now it's a, I don't know, it's a fashion thing, and the fit is new sexy, and the girls are there, and it's an amazing image that we can show. Or it's because we value that, you know? Like, what's the first thing? Because we are sport, like an athlete, and they want to show that, or because we are as well, it's a fashion thing, and women are selling more than men. You know,
Yeah.
like why is it? Because you are a role model, or because you are a woman and an athlete, and it's a fashion thing and a new thing that it's creative? I don't know. It's something we have some discussions, but we don't know the correct
The answer.
answer.
Yeah.
But
That's a doubt that you have to still have in your head, TG, when you think about that. If it's getting recognition about your hockey abilities or your hockey skills or any other thing.
Myself.
Yes, yes. Because, for
Um,
instance, when we see some brand sponsoring a man, can be a beautiful man. Also, you can look at it and you say, "Oh, that's a good-looking guy," but also it plays really well. You get that doubt in women that maybe it's not for what she plays, but how she looks. That's a doubt that you have when you see those kind of things.
well, I think it's 50-50, but I
Mhm.
think if your image and you're pretty and you know how to sell and you know how which photos to use and how to engage, I
Mhm.
think mm, I think it's maybe a bigger percentage than just being I don't know, being recognized for your abilities.
Marsha, you were saying?
I was going to say that that also largely depends on the marketing strategy of a company, and yeah, unfortunately, as sports people, we can't control that because you do get different campaigns that focus on different things, and then different character profiles are more attractive for that campaign. And then we'd see that somebody not quite sure of whether the reasoning is because of their profile or because of their playing ability. And I think that's something that is, yeah, we can't really control. We just have to accept to a certain degree, but is a valid question to raise sometimes in certain cases, because there are that different profiles are applicable and they might not be seen just because the person is maybe a little bit more introverted than another or less active than another on social media. But one of the trends that I think you do see worldwide in sport in general is more focused on the social media training for athletes. And I think that that's something that we've got to look at administration and question whether there's enough attention paid per team on that social media training for a number of reasons. Because it's the same thing for, you know, you can have all the good and positive aspects and qualities, but then you could, on the other hand, have qualities that companies not appreciate as seeing as ambassadors for their brand, and maybe with a little bit of training, players go from having no endorsements to having 10 endorsements. So, you know, the same thing applies for men, I think.
Yeah.
We've got sort of like the broader picture when it comes to that.
We just let me say that we are having some issues with the connection with Marsha, and sometimes it fails. But I think that we are getting to understand everything about what she wants to say. We have here an interesting question from Bernardo. Are there any figures or initiatives in recent years that you feel like having contributed for a stronger equality? What do you think about that? Some figures, some initiatives that are helping this cause? Who wants to go first?
Well,
Who are you
you go
asking?
first.
Everyone. So who wants to go first can go first. Marijke, you can go first. Some
What
figures
do you mean
are
with figures? Do you mean numbers?
no some person that is
Oh,
working on this.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we have a lot of role models, but you have to see them. If you see hockey umpiring, for example, if you see what has changed between 2005 and now, all women matches in the top are umpired in EHF by women. When I entered the board in 2005, it was not the case. It was only, I think, maybe 40%. And we set a goal that by 2009 we would have only women umpires. And actually, I really didn't believe we could succeed, but we did. Because all young umpires coming in had role models who were showing to them how to do it. And if you see now, you have wonderful women umpires, and Gigi knows Sarah Wilson, Loreen from Belgium. You have many, Ivona from Croatia, and it's a joy to look at them. They are fit, small, running, actually fantastic. And now the youth understands they can be an umpire. And that's the same what we need with coaches. If you have only one woman coach of all 12 teams in the Olympics, how does a girl know that she can be a coach? So you need somebody who is doing it, and then you can copy it. And my question to Gigi and Marsha is, can you see yourself also in another role after your playing career? I know from Marsha, she has been the athlete representative. She has been in the boardroom. But are you still aiming to do that? Because we need people like you.
Well, yeah, to be honest, yes. Where I definitely, for myself, super keen to get involved in other roles, especially because I believe that coaching is not the only role for a player post their career. I think that there are many other aspects around the sport and around a team that are extremely essential. A coach needs support staff that can support the team and the coach in a way that is positive and can lead to success. And I definitely want to stay involved. That leads me to another point is, we talk about us having confidence, us taking initiative, but I think resilience is something that's also really important, because a lot of the time along the way, we'll put our hands up, but we won't really get the recognition that maybe we deserve, or maybe that we would like. And to keep knocking on the same door can be quite exhausting. So, we need to stay resilient so that we can continue to knock on the door and show our value and show our worth, and continue to grow. But at the same time, the opportunities also need to be presented. And, you're speaking about numbers and changes, but it doesn't just happen overnight. You're talking about a change that has taken place over 15 years. And when the reference of what happened in 2005 to now in 2020, and we look at different countries. In South Africa, for example, we have also some guidelines from our sports department, from our government, where we need to show gender equality, or the attempt to do that. So we've got to facilitate more opportunities for our female selectors, umpires, technical staff, all of that. But if those opportunities are not afforded to those women, at a certain point, they're also going to get frustrated, and they're also going to feel like, well, where does this road lead me to? Because like Gigi said before, when she was talking about her brother and her, she's putting in the same amount of effort, she's putting in the same number of hours, but the opportunity to win is maybe less than the opportunity to win for her brother. So then he's getting results, so he's getting more. And that's the same thing for women in all the other roles that we're talking about. That we can make a massive contribution to the sport, but if we're not given the fair opportunity, then we need the resilience, we need the support from each other, but we also need the administration to change. Because it doesn't matter how good we are or how many hours we put in, if we're not given that chance, it's very difficult for us to really be involved and make that difference.
Yeah. But I think a little bit more nuanced about this, Marsha, because it's not only giving the opportunity, you need also to be proactive. You need to put your finger on and to show that you want. And I'm sure there are women around you that would like to help you. For sure, I would like to help you, and I would also like to help Gigi, because I think in Spain is also a lot to do to get women a voice. We have organized a forum in the EHF last year. Next year in June we do again, so you're both welcome um, to work with the group of women on awareness. And every time am surprised how difficult it is to get a woman from Spain. It's all men there who are ruling the world. And I know there are so many good women. And fortunately, we have achieved to get one. And she's now also in the mentor-mentee group of Swing, an Erasmus Plus project. So it's important. Stand up. You can email me, but not only me. There are a lot of good women around. In Spain, is Marisol Casado from triathlon. It doesn't matter. She's not from hockey, but she can help you and support you. Because if something is needed for women, is that they get support from the management level. And if you get support, your self-confidence is growing, the joy is growing, and you are looking for the next one behind you. Say, see what you are doing.
Gigi, do you want to join with your idea about this?
Marijke asked us if we wanted, I don't know, to consider the idea to be part of a board or part of a hockey after my retirement. And this question, I've thought about being in a team more as analyst instead of maybe coaching, because I need experience. I don't see myself now, because I think it would be really difficult to manage a team. But as you said, I need as well self-confidence. But I would just say analyst. And then a lot of times I've been thinking about being part of a project in order to increase the participation of female players, not maybe in hockey, but in sports. Because one of the problems we have in Spain is the difference in this with this number. And I think it would be great to be maybe an example to help all these girls that they can join. And with another thing you said about in Spain, there's a lot of work to do. I think in clubs, it's even bigger. In the federation, I think maybe 8-7 years ago, we have gender equity inside the federation. And as well, we had, I think, related to the last question about the projects, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we had a big sponsorship from an energy company called Ep4, and they are just putting money for women. They are giving us material for every club and for the first team.
Good.
And what is really, really good is that they decided to put all this money in order to record our games. And it's something that it has changed a lot, because I went to the Netherlands, and I played there 4 seasons, and the hockey was totally different. Like, it was professional, but this gender equity was as well as slightly different, and it was better than in Spain. But when I came back this year, I thought it was a brilliant idea that everyone can see your matches, and at least you give the opportunity. Because I've grown all my life with a lot of people who said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just watch men hockey, because women I just saw once and I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry." And always they wanted to see men, because they create more. I don't know. Everything is faster, unpredictable. Something that people, they cannot do it. And maybe with women hockey, they are a little bit, I think it's a conservative vision, but they are just like, "Oh no, women hockey, it's not for me, I'm sorry." And it's something that is changing, but at least you are giving the opportunity to see, oh, the matches are okay, and some of the matches are maybe better than male matches.
Yeah.
So I think it's a nice project that they have done. And I think people, they started change their minds about it.
Well, that's a very good thing. that she is mentioning, women must be more visible. Indeed, the live streaming, the video, showing the matches, then people get used to it. And that's in general the portrayal for women. It's not only the view, it's also the words. It's important every time again that they get the center of the attention. And we as EHF are responsible that we are taking care that we are streaming as many women matches as men matches, boys matches as girls matches. And you will be surprised that the most seen live streaming in EHF is always the under 18 girls and boys. There, everybody is watching that. There seems to be a lot of energy and a lot of creativity. That's great to see. So you are quite right that you need to have visibility, and then the rest will come. Then they understand what the skills are. And if you remember your last match in the Euros last year, it was amazing. Yeah, what the way Spain was playing, what we have seen there was fantastic. And I'm sure everybody could see in Brussels that it was fantastic also to see women hockey.
Let me pick up what you were saying, Marsha, Marijke, and Gigi. You spoke already about sponsorship, also about the pay difference in the pay gap between men and women. We are talking about some countries that women hockey is more. I don't say if important, but you get a feeling that it's better in women than in men. For instance, Argentina for a long time, women hockey was great, and now men also did great in the Brazil Olympics, but mainly it was the women's winning trophies. Do you feel that even in those countries there's a gap, sponsorship, pay gap, everything that you spoke about?
I can speak about South Africa, where for in the beginning of my career, so I started in 2001. At that time, our men's team probably had more sponsorship than the women's team, but very quickly it changed. Last year, biggest sponsor. And in South Africa, we find that generally, in the last 24 more years, that a lot of sponsors that come on only sponsor one team. So it's either the men's main sponsor or the women's main sponsor. We don't have sort of a massive one sponsor like here in the Netherlands, where we have one sponsor sponsor both teams. So in South Africa, it was a change where the women generally had more sponsorship, and sometimes when we didn't have any sponsorship, the men also didn't have any sponsorship. But if I reflect back in the last 20 years or 19 years, the women generally have more sponsors, even though in South Africa it's not comparable with most of the countries. It's not enough to even warrant a semi part-time program. But you see the difference, that the women still get something and the men absolutely nothing for a number of years. But still, you would find, I think that maybe in the last 4 years or so, 3 or 4 years, more of the individual players are getting recognized and getting sponsorships, as the world's focus has also changed on women empowerment, and there are more campaigns from companies where they are looking for women ambassadors and sports ambassadors. But then you're seeing more focus on some of the players, the female players, getting a little bit more individual endorsement. But traditionally, while the men's team didn't have a massive sponsor or a lot of focus, the individual players would get probably more endorsement than the women. So the men still would be able to get, if you put it on a piece of paper and you made a comparison, probably more men had more support, and sometimes the support just came from their network assisting them with their studies or assisting them with a part-time job once they had completed, so that they could have the time to train, whereas women maybe couldn't get that type of support until more recent years. But it's still the case in terms of like a team perspective. The women have more financial support than the men's team, but you are seeing a little bit more of quality as you come player for player endorsement, and a little bit of financial support. It's still be better.
We are having some issues with hearing Marsha, some issues with the connection. Let's hope that it will get better. But I think that we got the idea about the difference in South Africa. Gigi, how about you? Playing in Spain, playing also in the Netherlands. Do you feel that even though maybe the women were having better results, more players, whatever, the difference between genders would still be the same, better for the men than for the women?
About salary payment.
Salary, sponsorship, everything, the whole package.
Well, in my experience, if I see the clubs I've played, sorry, always men, they got more. Sometimes my idea was a little bit related with, okay, they have more spectators, they are giving better hockey, or people is following them because they like their matches, not maybe women matches. And if you get more people and you can maybe sell more tickets, or you can sell, I don't know, maybe you get sponsorship from the television, you get more opportunities. And I thought it was just related because they were men, they had better hockey. And I think that's why it's related that they get paid, I think, much more than women. But I think my idea has changed a lot since we have a new coach in the Spanish Federation. And it's not about the hockey you give. I think it's as well about the values you give and what you show as a team. I think when you show your effort, you show you have trained a lot, and you are showing that you have a plan, you stick to a plan, you follow all the maybe tactical and technical aspects, and you define a style of play. People is just following you, is engaged with your style, and they like you as a team. And it's something beautiful to see, because when you have worked, for example, in the Spanish team, we have done a project during 7 years, and now we're getting the results. We get the medals, and now the sponsors, and a lot of things are coming to the players. And I think it has been a long journey. It took us a lot of years, but now I think we have this equity gender in the federation, and in the clubs it's slightly changing, but I think it's gonna take a lot of years.
Okay, you have to turn the mic on, please. Yeah.
Yeah, my idea is what Gigi is saying is true. Actually, women always have to create their platform, and that's what you did in the Spanish Federation. And if you are creating it and that, making clear what your values are, then people start to be involved and want to follow you. Men always have already, without creating a platform, they get everything. And so women have to work harder, and that seems to be not fair, but it's the case. I've seen it also with the women football in Holland. They started to get their platform, and then everything came to them. Then the sponsors were there. Then they got their own clothing, their own kit. If I think in women and sponsorship, of course, I always think of Argentina. I was in 2010 in Rosario, and going back to the airport after the finals, we were by the gasoline station, and there were, I said, at least 100 newspapers with Luciana on the front page. 100, you must imagine. I got goosebumps from it. Now, the same what I've seen also in England, which the women are more important in England. Even the sponsor would like to show especially support to the women and not to the men. Investec was that at that time. And what they asked us, and that was the first time, I think it was Sue Ketten who asked this, that the women final was played the last day on Sunday. And that was really a novelty, that not the men were finishing the tournament, but the women. And we will try to copy that next year in Amsterdam also. In Holland, we always have Den Bosch. Den Bosch is the best club of women hockey in Holland for years already. And till now, because the men are now getting better, but till now, the women got all the sponsorships. They were better equipped than the men. And why it's so difficult for women to get the attention, but it's also who are in the boardroom, who are dividing the money, who have some things to say. And that's why it's so important that teams in collectivity go to the board sometimes and say, hey guys, girls, we also want our part because we are working as hard as the men. And we have to buy our own bidons, our own bowls. That's very strange.
Marijke, picking up on that, looking at your path, now it's a more individual question. I would like to know, as a woman, was it easy or difficult or normal to get to the presidency of the AHF? How do you think, analyzing your path to being a president, it was easy, normal, hard? What do you think?
It was not easy, no. And I had two opponents, two men. One was fading away before. Because in the end, I was contesting one, a German guy in Germany, so it was not easy. But when I'm thinking back now, I think I was quite brave to do it. But at that moment, I was really sure I could do it. I had so long experience in Holland in all parts of the game. I played myself, I had coached, I had worked behind the bar, I had worked with my children. Now, what can you do in hockey? Umpired everything. And I was director of KNHB, and I was leading the league in Holland. So I had really the experience. And I love the sport and I love the people. And that's what I explained in my enter speech for the audience. I said, you get my head and you get my heart. You get my head to think of things, really to listen to you and to make the right decisions. But you get also my heart because I love the sport. And I think that convinced the people that I was real. And in the end, I won. I think I got 21 votes and the other got 17. So it was very narrow. And yeah, I'm still happy I did it because I now realize that I've been a role model all the time. I didn't realize at that moment. And the role to play and to get more women and girls in, I really love it. But it was for sure not easy. And still I doubt sometimes if I would run away from the table. But I have also had very good teachers, and there's one advice he always gave to me: stay at the table. Also if it's difficult, because sometimes you don't believe it. I'm so often the only woman at the table, and yeah, this is just a different way of thinking. And you are not always into convince others. Sometimes you think, yes, it's logic what we are doing. But I must say, the board of EHF, we are with 12 people, 6 men, 6 women at the moment. It's a great board, share things friendly, have a beer together. So that gives me the power every time to act again.
Marsha and Gigi, let's hope that Marsha now gets a good connection to hear her opinion. Do you think that Marijke is also a role model to look at her position and think, okay, I can also do that. I can also one day be a president of the HF, be president of my club or any other organization?
Absolutely, and definitely. And I've been fortunate enough to work with Marijke, as you mentioned, when involved with the FIH. And the one thing that I really appreciate is that the offer that she extended earlier of support towards us, I know is definitely sincere, because I've lent on her before for support. I think that's exactly what we need. Is firstly, we need to see women in the positions so that we know that we too can achieve it. And secondly, that we support each other. Marijke definitely emphasizes that. So, yeah.
We were not as lucky as you. We were having some issues with Marsha, but yeah, we understand that Marijke is also a role model for Marsha. Gigi, after being an analyst, after being a coach, do you think that, well, someday maybe being president of the Spanish Hockey Federation, because we have now some role models. Marijke is supporting you for that.
Well, I agree with Marsha. Absolutely, yes, it's a role model, and when you see it, is when as well you believe it. Maybe after being other things, maybe I can get there, but now I think I need to create my path a bit, because now I think it's a lot of work, a lot of experience that I don't have, and now I think I would be too stressed. I wouldn't be able to do it, but at least it's an example.
Yeah, someday we have time for that. You have your path also to get there, and also like Marijke said, she had to experience some different things to get where she's got now. We have here one challenge for you three, is to think on what we can decide today to start doing tomorrow to help women in hockey. One simple idea, it doesn't need to be a big thing. One small thing that you think that starting tomorrow can be helpful for women in hockey, and knowing that, because maybe some people are not as focused as that, because if we're helping women in hockey, we are helping hockey itself. So it's all the same thing. What do you think? That's a simple idea that can be helpful for women in hockey. Marsha?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, with some cuts sometimes, but yeah. But we are expecting your idea now.
I think one idea could be that the women that are currently in positions to have a voice, have a standpoint, should definitely encourage, whether it's their clubs, their provinces, or to have women placed in positions that can be of a massive contribution, not only to the team but to the federation as well. So, like, for an example, I know countries, they ask retired players to get involved as managers in the under 21 and the under 18. And I think, like Gigi was talking, building up your experience and building up their confidence, that could be a massive example of something that a federation can do tomorrow. Already know that intentions of past players, and if they want to get involved administratively and not necessarily to create that opportunity for them to be involved, whether it be a manager or an analyst or just a form of support staff. From the experience that we've gained on the field, I think we can make a massive.
Okay, I think that Gigi and Marijke had a little bit more time to think about the simple idea than Marsha, that she went for. Wants to go next.
Shall I start, Gigi?
Yeah.
Well, then you can think a little bit more. I would propose something very simple and small. If from tomorrow on, every day, at least you compliment one woman around you, that will make a hell of a difference. Because we are thinking often things, nice things, but we don't say it. And if you train yourself to say aloud, oh, what nice, a nice shirt, or very good assist, or whatever, it must be natural, of course, and it must not be, as we say in Dutch, nep. then you will see that you change life of people. um, Give a compliment, show that they are doing the right thing, and I'm sure that you are a role model, will be a role model in that behavior. And you will listen and hear around you other people starting to do that also. It's really simple, but I have teach myself to do it, and I'm sure so often people say to me, yes, and then you said to me, and of course I forgot after so many years, but it doesn't matter. At that moment, I meant it, and it gave them the self-confidence to go on. It's really a tip.
Okay, Gigi.
I would say we need to, I don't know, eliminate the stereotype sometimes, and the stereotype that maybe men have to be first, or they have to be better. We need to eliminate that. We need to be ourselves, and one thing that Marijke said before, the self confidence, and we are the same, even if you are a woman, a boy, or a man, or a girl, but just fight for you for the things that we want, and we'll get there.
Okay, three nice and simple ideas. Let me just add one. It's about also education because, as all the three said, it's weird to hear, for instance, Gigi saying that everyone's saying that a male game would be better than a women game. Well, it can be, but it can also not be. I play a lot worse than Gigi, and I'm a male and she's a woman. So it doesn't mean that being a man or a woman stands for anything else. So education, to educate our kids to understand that we are all the same. Some girls play better than some girls. Some guys play better than some guys, and some girls play better than men. That can also happen, and some men that do play better than women. But if everyone has the same opportunity, well, everything will be better and hockey will be better. We are getting close to the end. It's almost 1 hour with this really nice chat with strong women that are here talking about how to be, what was their experience in hockey. And I will let you for a final citation, what you want to say in the end for everyone that is watching and will be watching, because this live will be still in the YouTube, so it can be watched later. What you want to say for this finish?
Okay,
Marijke?
now I will start. What I want to say is that I really believe that everyone can make a difference. It's not only the educated people who can do it, everyone. And everybody has a role to play. And that's what you have to think of every morning that you got awake and step and go to your work or your training, whatever. You can make a difference that moment for people around you. And if you realize that, then you see more light around you than before. Remind yourself of it.
Thank you, Marijke. Gigi or Marsha wants to go next? Maybe Gigi, and we'll finish up
Shall
with
I go?
Marsha. No pressure, no pressure, right?
Shall I start?
Yes.
Um, I would say we need to accept how we are, as especially as women. Sometimes we can create, for let's say, different style, different hockey, but we need to know that we have a lot of values, a lot of strengths, and we have to focus on that, because then we're gonna get better every day.
Okay, thank you, Gigi. Marsha.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I just quickly read through some of the comments, and I think one of the things that's really important for a discussion about women in sports and women in hockey is that exactly what you said, stay true to yourself, but at the same time, I think that we need to stay relevant. We need to know what important discussions we have to stand our ground and make sure that our voices do get heard. There's a lot of campaigns, there's a lot of focus, there's a lot of, but we can always look in the mirror and question ourselves and and focus on, how do you stay true to yourself with bringing that message across, are equally as important as the next person. You're equally as important in the sphere of sport as your male counterpart, without making it seem much of a forced focus on women. So yes, be true to yourself, be confident, be resilient. But I think in this discussion of equality, seek the equity in every single aspect, and not be selective of when you want it and when you don't. You have to be consistent.
Okay, thank you also, Marsha. Thank you, Marsha, Gigi, and Marijke. Thank you also to the ones that were watching this conversation, that participated also with some questions, some message like this one from Andy Bernstein. Great conversation from three legends of the game in their own right. Awesome. Thank you, Andy. Thank you to everyone that was listening, watching, and hopefully you had also important conversation for your future in hockey, being a woman, being a man, whatever. The important thing is to be part of this beautiful game. That's why Self-Pass with Bernardo in front of it try to make this conversation and I think that we are special people to being here. I'm more special because I'm actually talking with the three of them, but to being able to watch the president of the AHF and two Olympic players talking like they were in this last hour it's unique. It's only possible in hockey, in field hockey. So we are really blessed to have this, and I'm really happy for Self-Pass to want to be part of this change, also in the gender, in the equality thing. So thank you, Marijke. Thank you, Gigi. Thank you, Marsha. We'll see again, and hopefully, for instance, 1 year later, we'll speak again and talk about the big changes between men and women in hockey. Will be a nice talk in the future, and I think that will be really a nice thing to do.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you very much. So you keep in touch with Self-Pass in the Instagram, in Twitter, in also Facebook and YouTube, and we'll be back for more details. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.